Hello and welcome in this new question. A company uses lightweight directory access protocol for its employee authentication and authorization. And the company plans to release a mobile app that can be installed on employee smartphones. The mobile application will allow users to have a federated access to AWS resources. So, due to strict security and compliance requirements, the mobile application must use a custom built solution for user authentication. So, it must also use IAM roles for granting a user permission to AWS resources. And solution architect was tasked to create a solution that meets this requirement. So our in these questions is comes under the category of accelerate workload migration and modernization, and which also cover up the some of SAML compatible concepts. So in this question, the main basic criteria is one company which has built an mobile applications which require to do employee authentication and authorization, and that will be a custom based solution. And it must also use some of IAM rules roles for granting user permission to use other AWS resources. So we have to architect that concept, that solution, to achieve and cover up these concepts. Okay, so first of all, we have to understand AWS supports identity federation with SAML 2.0 security assertion markup language, which is called. It is an open standard that many identity providers use. So this features enables federated a single sign-on SSO. So SAML 2.0, it's called, one second. SAML 2.0. So security assertion markup language. Okay. So in these questions, we have to one on-premises mobile app, mobile applications, and which is a which uses which need to use custom, which needs to use login or sign up with custom built solution. Okay, and for user authentication. Okay, obviously user authentication, and it grants also IAM roles. Okay, for granting user permissions and AWS resources. Fine. So first of all, we have to understand that user can log into the Amazon Management Console or call the API operations without having to create an IAM user. So for everyone in your organization, so by using SAML, we can simplify the process of configuring federation with AWS, because you can use the identity provider services instead of writing custom identity proxy code. So we can use here a role to configure SAML 2.0 compliant identity provider and AWS to permit your federated user to access with the Amazon management console. So the role grants the user permission to carry out task in the console. Okay, so we need to achieve this where we just draw a diagram, that architectural diagram, how can it will go like that. So first of all, this is, one sec. This is a organization. Organization. or can say that identity provider, and same goes like this. This is AWS. Which services we will use? Service provider. Okay, so this is the LDAP identity store. Okay, this is this block, it's identity provider, and here is your browser interface. AWS SSO endpoint, and this will be security token service. And management console. So we have to drag arrow which is connected to which one. So first of all, that identity browser interface makes a request to identity provider, and okay, one, this will be the one, and again that LDAP identity store, it authenticates the user. So this will be connect with this to identity provider. And then identity provider gives that acknowledgement to that browser interface. Identity provider returns SAML assertion. Okay, and this part is complete over here, and then here from browser interface it will go to that Amazon SSO endpoint. So it client post SAML assertion to sign in URL. Okay, and then that URL goes to that security token service, which is a temporary credential which authenticates the user, and it will return like that. Okay, so it will return back to that Amazon SSO point, and this will not here. And then Amazon management console, that the client is sent to the AWS management console to the user. So this is will go to the browser interface. Okay, so this is a roughly identified diagram. So I just repeat once again to how it will connect it to which block to which block. So this the user browser your organization portal and select the option to go to the Amazon management console. So in organization portal is typically a function of your identity provider that handle the exchange of your trust between your organization and AWS. So the portal, that organization verifies the user identity in your organizations. And the third one is goes to the portal generates a SAML authentication response that includes assertion that identify the user and include attributes about the user. And portal sends this response to the client browser interface. Okay, so the client browser is redirect to the Amazon single sign-on endpoint and post the SAML assertion. And the endpoint requests temporary security credential which provided by STS security token services, and on behalf of the user, and creates a console sign-in URL. And Amazon sends that sign-in URL back to the client as a redirect, and the client browser is redirect to the management console. So if the SAML authentication response includes attributes that map to multiple IAM roles, so the user is first promoted to select the role for accessing the console. So the other concepts come here is Amazon Cognito. So Amazon Cognito is Amazon Cognito. It also provides authentication and authorization, and it also done by do user management for your web and mobile apps. So user can sign in directly with a username and password or through a third party such as Facebook, Amazon, Google, or anything, Apple. So the two main components of Amazon Cognito are a user pool and second one is identity pool. Okay. So user pool will user directories that provide sign up and sign in options for your app user, and identity pools enables you to grant your user access to other AWS services. So you can use identity pools and user pools separately together. In our case, we have used right now identity pools. So Amazon Cognito identity pools provide a temporary AWS credential which provided by STS for users who are guest unauthenticated and for user who have been authenticated to have received a token. And the next concept is Open ID Connect. It is also an open and standard and authentication that is supported by a number of login providers. So Amazon Cognito supports the linking of identities with Open ID Connect providers that are configured through AWS Identity and Access Management. So once you have created an OpenID Connect provider in IAM console, you can associate it with the identity pool. So in our questions, we have to achieve that custom built solution for a user authentication. So we can say that we can build a custom SAML compatible solutions to handle authentication and authorization, configure the solution to use LDAP for user authentication, and use SAML assertion to perform authorization to the IAM identity provider. So this will be the best scenario solutions. So this requirement is to use a custom built solution for user authentication and this can use the company LDAP system for authentication. And the SAML assertion is also needed to get authorization tokens from the IAM identity provider, so that will grant IAM roles to users that wish to access AWS resources. So we are now end of this lesson. So we will meet in the next question. Bye.